Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So in the last video, we implemented the search feature for our home listings where we can search based on a particular home city. But what if we refresh the page or we want to send those search results to a friend or a colleague and we want to show them the type of homes we were considering buying? As you can imagine, as our filters grow, we may want to search more not only on price, but the number of beds, bathrooms, and square foot, but other criteria as well. And as that list grows, whenever we refresh, we're going to lose all those filtering results. For instance, if I search for homes within a particular price range of $600,000 to $1 million, and I refresh the page, I'm going to lose those search results. So you can imagine if this list gets a lot bigger than this, if the filtering options get a lot bigger than this can get really annoying because I have to re-enter all this information again. But one way to remedy this is to pass URL parameters, is to store our search query results, our search queries inside the URL. This is common on many applications. You can find this on YouTube as well. If you want to share a video with someone, send them the link. But you can also send them a link to that video at a particular time spot. So let's say you want someone to watch the video, but let's start the clock. Let's start the video 5 minutes into the video. That's called URL parameters. In YouTube, they set a URL parameter set t equal to some number, whatever that number represents a timestamp. But nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and do that here. So as you saw, if we enter a query result, let's search for Nashville homes. We have 2 homes. I want to send this to someone. If I send the link as is, when they get that link and enter it, they're not going to see only the Nashville homes. So we can go ahead and fix that by setting a URL parameter. So let's go back to the page. And what we want to do is set a workflow. We want to set a workflow that listens to the value of the search box changing. And what we want to do is navigate to this page again. So we want to go to this page, which is the home listings page. But not only that, we want to send more parameters. We want to send some URL parameters. And we click that. And the key, we want to call that. Now, since our search box only works for a city, we could type in city. But let's say you want to expand that to something more generic, something more general if you want to search more than city. We can just call that query, or Q for short. Some people do that. Let's call it query. And we want to set the query to be equal to the search box's value. And currently the value, we can choose to be the value's name, which is the name of that city. Now we can hit preview. And when we type in city, so Nashville, you see the query pops up here as Nashville. But we still need to filter these results based on that. So if I was to refresh this page with the query Nashville, you're still going to see all of the homes. So now that it's stored in a URL, we can go back to the design view and click on this repeatable group. And now what we want to do is change the data source. So we want to search for these homes, but under a different constraint. Under the constraint that the city for any particular home has to equal has to equal the parameter that we passed through. So you scroll down to get data from page URL, and the parameter name is query. And that's what we want. So let's go ahead and click preview. Oh, so right now it's empty because we don't have a query set just yet, but let's go ahead and fix that. What we can do is ignore the constraint. So that's what this property here is for. Ignore empty constraint. So right now our query parameter is empty. Therefore, it's not searching on anything because currently no home has the city value as empty. So we want to ignore constraints. Close. Let's hit preview. And now you see there's no query parameter, but the default should be show all of the listings as we want it. So now if we click Nashville, we type in Nashville, change that value, it works like we were familiar with. But also the query was set, and if we refresh, we should only see these two homes as Nashville. And that's really all there is to it. We can also change the city to Memphis, and we should only see the Memphis homes. As you can see, we only see Memphis. So this works perfectly. So you can copy and paste this and share this to any of your friends, any of your colleagues. If you can imagine this app is an actual home marketplace, maybe send it to a real estate agent or something, and they can see your exact search results. Now, we can do the same thing with price. We can add a price constraint, a price parameter, beds, baths, and so on and so forth. But you get the point. One last thing I want to show is on the home page, we had a search bar here. Now we can do the same thing where when someone types in a city, they navigate to our home listings page using the URL parameter. So let's go ahead and set this up. So we want to go back to the index page and clicking on this search box. So what we want to have set is dynamic choices. And let's define our list of options as cities. And the field we want to search is by name. And what we want to do is create a workflow where when the value of our search boxes change, elements, or we want to navigate to our home listings page. But not only that, we want to navigate to our home listings page with the parameter set. So we want to set query, set that equal to this search box's value and name. Now let's go ahead and preview. So let's click Nashville, type in Nashville. You can see the homes, the drop-down menu, click Nashville. Now we sent to this page with the Nashville query, and it's sorted with Nashville. That's exactly what we want. Now, one last thing I want to show you that's very, very important is when you're dealing with URL parameters is imagine we have price here. We don't want to completely, if we was to type in a city, it would erase the price parameter because it's navigating to a new page technically. So what we want to do is save those parameters. For instance, let's go ahead and add a new listener to listen for when go to home listings page, when that filter is set. So when price filter is applied, not only do we want to hide the pop-up, but we also want to navigate to the home listings page. And we want to send more data. So we're adding a parameter for price listing as well. Call that and price. Set that equal to input min price value. Add another parameter. Max prices value. Cool. So we pass those constraints in. So now with this list, we want to search for homes. Not only that matches the city, but we also want to find homes where the price is greater than or equal to the minimum, or rather, we want to get the data from the URL. It's a number. And where price is less than or equal to the max. Let's get data from the URL. Let that be a number. So that's what we want to have happen. Of course, we want to make sure the constraints are ignored. Let's go ahead and preview. So when we set price, minimum 600,000, maximum 1 million, let's go ahead and apply. So we see these homes were filtered. You can see the min price and max price is set up above, and these homes were filtered by that. So if we refresh, these values were stored. But let's say we also want to sort by city. We want to also preserve the min price and the max price filters. So right now, as you can see, it navigated, but we lost our min price and max price filters. So let's go ahead and fix that problem, where we go to workflow and we click on whenever that search box is changed. We want to navigate to the home page, but not only do we want to send more parameters to the page, we want to send the current page's parameters, meaning whatever existing parameters they have, let's keep those. But not only that, we want to do the same thing for when we apply the price filters as well. When we go back to the home page, we want to send the page's current parameters so we can save the city. Now we can go ahead and refresh or preview. So we want to set price based on 600K to $1 million. Let's hit apply. You see the min price and max price parameters are set. Let's go ahead and add Nashville. And now the Nashville query still remains. So that's exactly what we want. But notice one thing as well is this home doesn't meet our criteria of the price being between $600,000 and $1 million. So we need to fix our actual search query. So we consider all things. So let's go back to our repeatable groups data. We want to search for homes. So all the constraints here considering city and price. But when we navigate it, it did not consider all of those things. There we go. So we also want to filter these homes based on, to include the price as well. So let's go ahead and add this constraint of price is greater than or equal to, get data from the URL parameter, min price, that was a number, price less than or equal to, let's get the URL parameter, get data from URL, page URL, and we want to set that to max price. And that should be a number. Let's close. Let's preview since we have both of those in. So if we want to search for Nashville homes, the query parameter is set, the results are filtered, but we want to search for Nashville homes within a certain price range as well. So let's set the min to 600K and the maximum to 1 million. Click apply. So we still don't have that. That's because whenever the apply button event was clicked, we didn't consider the city. But if we refresh, you notice the min price and max price values were saved in the URL, along with the city query, it works just fine. So we have one Nashville home that's in our price range that matches, but we need to add an extra consideration for when we hit that apply button for price. So when the apply button is clicked, we want to display this list of columns. We want to search for homes. That also considers the constraint where the city of that home is equal to the page data. So the query name is query. So it's equal to the city that's in the URL. So let's go ahead and make sure ignore empty constraints is set. Go ahead and preview. So let's search for Nashville home. Cool. And we only want the Nashville home to be in a certain price range. Let's say between 600K to 1 million. So we can filter this one out. We should only have this home left. 600K to 1 million. Let's click apply. And there we have it. We have one home that meets all of our search criteria in a parameter. And if we refresh this page, all of these filter parameters still work as needed. And that's all there is to it. So I'm glad you enjoyed that part. If you have any questions, more questions about filters and about URL parameters, leave a comment below. And also subscribe to the channel. We have a few more videos left in this series, so stay tuned.